There are discoveries that change a single life. There are inventions that change an entire civilization. And then there is fire, a force so powerful that without it, there would be no cities, no kingdoms, no engines, no factories, no electricity, no smartphones, no rockets, no modern world. Every building, every road, every piece of metal, every computer chip, every spacecraft can trace its story back to a single flame. But here's the strange part. Humans didn't invent fire. For hundreds of millions of years, it already existed. Lightning set forests ablaze. Volcanoes poured rivers of fire. Nature had mastered fire long before we ever existed. So the greatest question isn't who discovered fire. It's this: how did one of the weakest creatures on Earth learn to control the most powerful force it had ever seen? How did frightened primates with no claws, no fangs, no armor become the architects of civilization? This is the story of the moment human history changed forever. Imagine a world without a single campfire, no glowing embers, no warmth waiting at the end of a cold night, no cooked meals, no light beyond the setting sun. This was the world our ancestors inherited. Millions of years ago, the Earth was not waiting for humans. It belonged to nature. Towering forests covered the land, rivers cut through valleys, seasons changed without mercy, and when darkness arrived, the balance of power shifted. The hunters awakened. Lions stalked the grasslands. Leopards disappeared into the trees. Hyenas moved in packs. For early humans, night was not a time to explore. It was a time to survive. Compared to the predators, we were painfully ordinary. No claws to fight, no fangs to bite, no thick fur to survive freezing nights, no incredible speed to outrun danger. Biologically, we were vulnerable. Yet hidden inside those fragile bodies was something extraordinary, a brain capable of learning, of imagining, of solving problems no other animal could solve. But intelligence alone could not guarantee survival. Every day was a struggle. Food had to be found, water had to be located, shelter had to be built, and every mistake could be fatal. Nature offered no second chances, yet all around them there was another force, wild, untamed, terrifying. Fire, not created by human hands, but born from lightning, from volcanoes, from nature itself. Most animals ran from it. Early humans probably did too at first. But history doesn't belong only to those who are strongest. Sometimes it belongs to those who dare to look closer. And somewhere, among the smoke, the ashes, and the dying flames, humanity was about to witness the opportunity that would change everything. For countless generations, fire remained a mystery. It arrived without warning. A bolt of lightning would split the sky. A single tree would burst into flames. Soon, an entire forest could become an ocean of fire. Animals ran. Birds filled the sky. Even the strongest predators fled, because fire showed mercy to no one. But after every wildfire, something remarkable happened. The flames did not last forever. Eventually, the fire faded, the smoke cleared, and the forest fell silent. That silence may have changed human history. Some archaeologists believe our ancestors began exploring the burned landscape, not while the flames raged, but after. Among the blackened trees, they found something strange. animals that had not escaped. Meat changed by heat. Hard shells cracked open. Plants that had become easier to eat. Fire was no longer only destruction. It had become opportunity. But opportunity had a problem. It disappeared when the last ember went dark. The gift was gone. No one knew how to make another fire. So, if early humans wanted its warmth, its light, or its protection, they had only one choice: keep it alive. Scientists cannot say exactly when this happened, or who did it first. But evidence suggests that long before humans learned to create fire, they had begun to control it. A burning branch may have been carried from one campsite to another. Glowing embers may have been buried in ash to survive the night. A single flame protected like the greatest treasure, because losing it could mean waiting days, weeks, or even longer for nature to provide another chance. For the first time, fire was no longer only nature's weapon. It was becoming humanity's companion. And with every night that a flame continued to burn, fear retreated a little further. No one knew it then, but the world had already begun to change, because humanity had taken its first step, not toward controlling fire, but toward controlling its own future. For thousands of generations, fire was more than warmth. It was becoming a force that would reshape humanity itself. Every hunt ended the same way. If food was found, it had to be eaten as it was. Raw meat was tough, roots were hard. Many plants were nearly impossible to digest. Eating could take hours, digesting could take even longer. Life was a constant struggle to find enough energy to survive. Then, fire changed everything. Not in a single night, not in a single generation, but slowly, over thousands of years. When food met fire, something extraordinary happened. Meat became softer, plant fibers began to break down, many harmful bacteria and parasites were destroyed. Meals that once demanded hours of chewing could now be eaten in a fraction of the time. Scientists believe cooking allowed humans to gain more usable energy from many foods. That extra energy may have helped support one of evolution's greatest transformations, the human brain. Although it makes up only about 2% of the body's weight, it consumes around 20% of the body's energy. Keeping such an organ alive required an enormous supply of calories. Fire did not create the human brain. Evolution had begun that journey long before, but evidence suggests cooking made feeding those growing brains far easier. As meals improved, something else changed. Days no longer ended the moment the sun disappeared. The fire kept burning. Its light pushed back the darkness. Its warmth held back the cold. For the first time, humans could remain awake long after sunset. Around the flames, families gathered. Knowledge was shared. Children watched, adults taught. Experience passed from one generation to the next. Scientists cannot say exactly what conversations filled those nights, but they know this: fire created time. Time to learn, time to remember, time to prepare for tomorrow. A simple flame was becoming something far greater. It would allow humanity to leave the world it was born into. The fire did more than change the human body. It changed where humans could live. For countless generations, our ancestors were bound to warmer lands. Cold nights were unforgiving. Freezing winds could kill. Darkness belonged to predators. Then, fire changed the rules. A single campfire could warm an entire group. Burning branches kept dangerous animals at a distance. The night was no longer an enemy. Scientists believe controlled fire allowed humans to survive in colder environments. As climates changed and ice sheets advanced across parts of the Earth, some human groups ventured farther north. They crossed mountains, grasslands, dense forests, and eventually entered lands where survival would have been far more difficult without fire. It provided warmth, light, protection, and a place to prepare food. Archaeological evidence shows that by around 400,000 years ago, controlled fire had become common across parts of Africa, Europe, and Western Asia. It was no longer a rare discovery. It had become a way of life. Every new campfire marked another step in humanity's journey. Families settled where they once could not. Knowledge traveled with the people, and wherever humans carried their fire, they carried their future. But surviving in new lands was only the beginning. The same flame that helped humans cross continents would soon unlock an even greater revolution. It would teach humanity how to transform Earth itself, stone into cities, rock into metal, and simple settlements into civilization. For thousands of years, fire helped humans survive. Now, it was about to do something even greater. It would help them build. As people settled together, simple camps became villages, villages became towns, and towns would one day become cities. But civilization could not be built with stone and wood alone. It needed a new kind of power, fire. The first great breakthrough was clay. When shaped by hand, clay was fragile. Rain could wash it away. A careless step could crush it. But inside a hot fire, something incredible happened. The clay hardened. It became pottery. For the first time, people could safely store water, grain, oil, seeds. The harvest could survive long after the growing season ended. Food was no longer only for today. It became an investment in tomorrow. Then came the next revolution: bricks. Sun-dried bricks had existed before, but firing them made them stronger, more durable, more resistant to weather. Homes lasted longer, walls rose higher, cities began to grow, and then humans discovered something hidden inside ordinary rocks. Metal, copper, could be separated from its ore only with intense heat. Later, people mixed copper with tin, creating bronze, stronger, sharper, more durable. The Bronze Age had begun. Centuries later, even hotter furnaces unlocked iron, harder than bronze, more abundant, capable of changing agriculture, construction, and warfare. Scientists know these discoveries did not happen all at once. They unfolded across thousands of years, in different places, among different cultures. Yet every one shared the same foundation: fire. Without it, there would be no pottery, no bricks, no bronze, no iron, no great cities rising above the horizon. The flame that once protected a single family was now shaping entire civilizations. But humanity was not finished. The greatest transformation was still to come, because one day people would discover that fire could do more than melt metal. It could move the world itself. For thousands of years, fire served humanity. It cooked food, fired pottery, forged metal. But one discovery would change everything. Humans realized fire could do more than create heat. It could create power. Long before electricity, long before gasoline, there was steam. When water is heated, it expands with enormous force. For centuries, people noticed it, but during the 18th century, inventors found a way to harness it. Steam engines began pumping water from deep mines. Soon, they powered factories, then ships and locomotives. For the first time, distance began to shrink. Goods could travel farther. People could move faster. Entire economies were transformed. Historians call this the Industrial Revolution. It wasn't created by fire alone. Innovation, engineering, science, and human ambition all played their part. But none of it could have happened without heat, without furnaces, without boilers, without flame. Coal fed the fires. Iron built the machines. Steam moved the world. Factories produced more goods than ever before. Cities expanded. Railways connected nations. The pace of human progress accelerated. Then, fire unlocked another revolution: electricity. Many power stations generated electricity by using heat to boil water. The steam turned giant turbines. Those turbines generated the electricity that would light homes, power hospitals, drive industries, and connect the modern world. Even today, much of the world's electricity still begins with heat. The flame that once burned at the entrance of a prehistoric cave now powers cities visible from space. Every computer, every factory, every satellite launch, every journey across oceans or through the sky carries the legacy of humanity's oldest companion. Fire never stopped changing the world. It simply changed its form. And perhaps the greatest lesson is this: civilization was never built in a single moment. It was built one spark at a time. More than 1 million years ago, a small group of early humans sat beside a fragile flame. They could not imagine the future. They did not know about kingdoms or science or machines. They had never seen a city, a ship, or a wheel. Their only goal was to survive one more night. Yet, without knowing it, they had already begun the greatest journey in human history. Every civilization that would one day rise would inherit that same fire. It baked the first pottery, forged the first metal, built the first cities, powered the first engines, and illuminated the modern world. Even today, fire has not disappeared. It simply changed its form. It burns inside blast furnaces, producing the steel that shapes our skylines. It burns inside power stations, generating electricity for billions of people. It burns inside rocket engines, lifting spacecraft beyond Earth. And in factories, extreme heat helps create the glass, the metals, and the tiny silicon chips that power the devices we carry every day. The world looks different, but the principle has never changed. Human progress has always depended on understanding and harnessing energy. Fire was our first teacher. It showed us that nature could be understood, not feared. that knowledge could be passed on, that each generation could build upon the discoveries of the last. That single lesson became the foundation of civilization. Perhaps that is the true story of fire. It wasn't simply a source of warmth or light. It was the beginning of human innovation, of engineering, of science, of progress. Humanity did not invent fire. Nature did that, hundreds of millions of years earlier. What humans accomplished was something just as extraordinary. We learned to understand it, to control it, and eventually to build an entire civilization around it. From a single spark to a connected world, from frightened survivors to explorers, reaching beyond our own planet. The history of civilization is the history of one flame passed from generation to generation, and its story is still being written. The story of civilization is not merely the story of kings or empires or inventions. It is the story of a species that learned to understand nature instead of fearing it. Fire was never just a tool. It became humanity's first great teacher. It taught us to protect, to create, to build, to transform. From a frightened group gathered around glowing embers to a civilization that reaches beyond our own planet, the journey has always been guided by the same flame. The next time you strike a match, light a candle, or switch on a light, remember, you are witnessing the latest chapter in a story that began more than 1,000,000 years ago. A story that is still burning, and as long as humanity continues to imagine, to discover, and to create, that fire will never go out.